The following presentation is brought to you by the Realm Network.
It's right about time again to swerve again, confuse the general fans again.
That's where I don't understand, bro. Triple H is nurturing these NXT guys. These NXT guys now go up to the WWE. Under Vince's thumb, are they hung out to dry? Is Triple H trying to get them in the mix? It just seems to me like that's a whole mess. I don't ever see the both of them being on the same page.
I don't either, and I see the product suffering as a result of that because, this is one of the things I wanted to say when we were having our NXT discussion on the other show, but we were talking about so many different things. Part of the problem is, I see these guys on NXT that I really enjoy watching, and it's almost like I don't want to see them go up on the main roster because I feel like when they're brought up on the main roster, they will be subject to Vince's whims, and he'll do because he's not connected with the NXT product or the characters that they have there. So he's going to present these people who the WWE through NXT has presented them one way, and then he's going to repackage them in the way that he sees them. Like, for example, the Ascension, when they went up, they're way over the top. It was a way over the top cartoony version of how they had been in NXT. Same thing with, go back to the Wyatts, because I know you love Bray Wyatt. I love Bray Wyatt. I love the Wyatt family. But that gimmick floundered for a couple of years despite how over Wyatt was. Why? Because I don't think Vince really got it. I don't think he understood what was special about those characters. And as a result of that, it was, Bray Wyatt being used to put over guys every month of the pay-per-views, because I don't think Vince got it. And I think that's an example of a gimmick that got over despite the fact that Vince didn't get it. Same thing with Neville to a certain extent, and now Owens being knocked back down. I feel that it's a matter of, these are your guys, Vince. Whether you like it or not, these are your talents, and by selling them short, what you're doing is you're selling them short of protect your vision of what the boys should be. So you're selling these other guys short because they don't match up to your vision, but that's it's disappointing the fans that these guys have, and it's turning off new fans from getting invested in them because they're not being presented in such a way that we should believe that we've got great things to come from them. And that, to me, harkens back to the same type of thinking that you had with WCW Invasion. It's Vince's ego preventing him from putting over guys he should be putting over to make them, to establish them, to build them. But what he's doing is he's picking away at what little Q factor they have, and he can't see himself putting them over against some of his other guys. Like you said, when Owens went in his first night and beat John Cena, that to me was phenomenal. Why? Because we never expected it to happen. As soon as he came out, in my mind, I was like, oh, man, they're going to sacrifice him to Cena on his first night and establish his ceiling before he even gets started. And the fact that he won, it was impressive. It was an impressive victory, and he looked good, I thought, against Cena. But B, even more important, it added a level of unpredictability and spontaneity to the show that the show lacks. And that, to me, is one of the big problems, is that the show, everything is predictable. Nothing is spontaneous. Nothing feels organic. It all feels overproduced. And that was an aspect, that was a surprise. And we haven't been getting many surprises, and we do get them. They're really not that impressive. So that's what I'll give with that.
And I got to give you this. I have to ask you this, though, bro.
Ask me, kid.
Bro, 15 years after the fact, is that the reason why Vince is freaking beating Sting at WrestleMania? When I looked at where Sting went from WrestleMania, and Triple H hasn't come anywhere near a wrestling ring since, Sting went on to meet the champion, Seth Rollins. So Wrestling 101, not even 101, Wrestling 1, obviously, bro, if a child is booking this, Sting should have won over. Then they would have had a great story with Rollins, Triple H, and Sting. Rollins telling Triple H, you couldn't beat him, but I can. That makes perfect sense. But I mean, bro, I can't sit here and fathom that Vince had Triple H beat Sting because it was still a WWE, WCW thing 15 years later.
Yeah, I don't understand either, because for me, that being Sting's first match and that being his big debut on the grandest stage of them all, it made no sense to me why he didn't go over in that match. It was such a big, but the thing is, as they built up to that match, you know, it wasn't until like the go home show that they kind of backed off of the whole WCW versus WWE angle. And the more they made it about, you know, Sting representing WCW and Hunter representing WWE, the more they made it about that, yeah, in my mind, because, you know, you, me, we're both victims of revisionist history. That's another example of the winner writing the history books. I didn't see how he was going to go over in that match, since they did make it so much about WWE versus WCW. I honestly, I don't think that they had plans for him to face Rollins, especially not back then. I think that strikes me as a panic move that Vince pulled out because the ratings hadn't been coming up and they had been going down. And I think that, in my opinion, that booking Sting and Rollins was an attempt to try and pull a number. I don't know if it worked or not. I don't know what those numbers are, but I know that that's why it didn't work out storyline wise, because I don't think they had any intentions of Sting wrestling for the title. Sting was, you know, I can't see them planning on using him as any more than a special attraction, maybe once or twice a year. But him to just have a title match at just a, you know, just another pay-per-view, not even a WrestleMania, that to me struck me as this was a kind of a hot shot deal, and it wasn't something they had planned all along.
It probably was. Hey, Ed, I want to ask you this, because I get heat for this, and this might be my really old school way of thinking, but I don't think it is. Okay.
Okay.
I say all the time, and I have to make this clear to everybody. Okay, I got to spell it out because everybody's ready to jump all over me. Seth Rollins is a phenomenal worker. Unbelievable worker that every time he's in the ring, he gives 150%. No doubt about it. No questions asked. He's had some matches on pay-per-view and come back and wrestled the next night. And I'm like, how can he possibly do that with what the guy puts his body through? Okay. But then I also say, okay, Seth Rollins does not write the TV. He's not responsible for the direction of his character, how his character is being written. My personal opinion is they've completely butchered his character. There is so much inconsistency with his character week after week after week. Seth Rollins does not write his character. Okay? With that being said, okay, I think people get confused in 2015. Okay? There are people that believe Rollins is over because Rollins is the WWE champion and he's all over the show every Monday night. Okay? And I basically say, no, that doesn't consist of over. Rollins is Hunter's boy. Hunter likes Rollins. Rollins is the guy because a lot of it has to do with Hunter. He's all over the show because that's how they're writing it. He's the champion because that's how they wrote it. That does not consist of over. To me, Ed, over is still, there are two ways to be over. The ratings are going to tell you if you're over, and if you're putting asses in the seats at house shows, that's going to tell you if you're over. It's business. It's dollars and cents. That determines if somebody's over. Based on house show attendance, based on ratings, nobody's tuning in and nobody's paying to see the champion. Now, I'm not putting that heat on Seth Rollins because they haven't done the champion any justice. They've failed miserably at writing for him. But again, based on the facts that they have, ratings keep going down, low attendance in house shows. should they not consider making some kind of a change when it comes to the hood ornament of the company right now?
Well, I mean, absolutely. That's got to be a consideration because, a lot of what you have is the champion will set the tone for the business that you're doing. And if you have businesses low, you have to look at who's at top. Now, you've got Rollins up top. You've got Lesnar arguably up top, even though he doesn't have the championship, but he is the most over challenger on the roster. And you've got Cena. Cena, nothing's changed there. Lesnar, I would argue that they've done everything in their power to weaken his character too. But yeah, the problem with Rollins is in to me that they have not created a character with him that the audience knows who he is to the point where they can or will get behind him. But it's the same thing with the authority with Triple H and Steph. They don't even know if they're baby faces or heels.
Does that blow your mind that even Stephanie and Triple H they don't know who their character is? That blows my mind.
It staggers me that they have such an inconsistent delivery of these characters that are TV characters. Hunter and Stephanie are TV characters, and depending on who they're in a segment with, they'll either be a babyface or they'll be a heel. Now, this doesn't go back to what we used to do and say, well, there's shades of gray, and everybody has good sides and good points and bad points, and we're going for a more realistic portrayal, because they're not doing that, because when they're heels, they're completely different characters when they're baby facing. And the same thing with Rollins. The problem with Rollins is the fact that he, as the champion, he's still like a little kid.
And I gotta stop right there. As a professional writer that has written characters outside of wrestling, bro, this is a man who wrote the Munsters Christmas special, for crying out loud.
Oh, you're burying me.
No, I'm not Herman Munster, bro. Come on. Bro, you're a guy that wrote professional television outside of wrestling, okay, bro?
Okay.
Weird Science, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Ed, I have to ask you, as a writer now, a writer's hat. Forget the wrestling, a writer's hat. Where is that inconsistency coming from, Ed? When you're Stephanie McMahon and you don't know how your character is supposed to act from scene to scene to scene, where is that inconsistency coming from? If professional writers are writing for that company, where's the inconsistency coming from?
The inconsistency is coming from they got too many cooks. They got too many cooks throwing out ideas, not enough people synthesizing the ideas into a workable show. First of all, and that's all we did, was synthesize different ideas that we were getting from all over the place into a workable show. Because you don't have that, you have no consistency, and you've got a 3-hour show. So add to the complication of the need for consistency is the fact that we got to fill 3 hours, and we have to do a lot of different things. So it goes to what I was saying before, it's good enough. It's good enough, okay, yeah, we'll go, the authority will go over and they'll bury these heels in this thing because somebody's got to do it, and we don't have time to put somebody else in that position. We just need to go off and get this done. That's good enough. But what's happening is it's hurting the product in the long run, and it's making it impossible to invest emotionally in the characters because you don't know who you're investing in. You don't know if I don't know if I'm supposed to think Seth Rollins as a joke by the way he acts, or if I'm supposed to be impressed with him as the next big thing, which is how he is when he's in the ring. They have no consistency there. I don't know if every time Hunter or Stephanie opens their mouth, if I'm supposed to roll my eyes and discount what they're saying, or if I'm supposed to get behind them and invest in what they're saying, because they don't present them in any sort of consistent light. And that's the same thing that I was saying about the product as a whole. There's no consistency to it. All they're doing is they are educating the audience that has stayed with it. They're educating the audience to realize that nothing counts and nothing matters. And if you like the way we're going with this one storyline, well, you know what? hang on, because it's only a matter of time before we bail on it, or before we end it without wrapping it up satisfactorily, or before we go some other lame direction with it. And that's why we get into these stories, because we get wrapped up and we want to see them play out in a satisfying way. I can't remember the last time a story played out in a satisfying way. They're great to start, they're kind of weak in the middle, and they fall flat in the end. And I think that's a lot of the problems with what they're doing. And again, because it's a 3-hour product, it's good enough. So we're not going to be paying that much attention. We just have to get across what we need to get across.
And you know what's funny? It's like it's as simple as this, because sitting from afar, you can kind of simplify things and how things have changed in the wrestling business into 2015. Ed, every Tuesday now, I do kind of like a director's cut of the Attitude Era shows, because I wouldn't watch the current product anymore. I could not sit there for 3 hours anymore. So I'm like, screw this, I'm going to watch the Attitude Era. And, bro, one thing that has really popped out at me during our shows, bro, is how good Shawn Michaels was. Because, bro, he tends to be in the shadow of Rock and Austin and stuff. But, bro, here was the beauty of Shawn Michaels. He was this degenerate, wise guy, wise ass. He was all those things, bro. But when it came to the fight, he got in the face of Taker. He got in the face of Austin. He made you believe, holy crap, they're going to put Shawn over The Undertaker. When it came in the old days, Ed, they'd say, Dutch Mantel, when it came time to putting the asses in seats, Shawn would sell the match. Okay?
Yep.
Here we are, bro, 15 years later, and it's so noticeable to me now. You got a chicken shit heel in Seth Rollins. So, like, the first thing I'm asking myself is, if you're a chicken shit heel, right? If you're chicken shit, why are you getting into the wrestling business in the first place? You know what I'm saying, bro? It's like, are you getting in the wrestling business to run from everybody? I mean, what is the point of even getting in the wrestling business if you're a chicken shit heel? But that just goes to show you how that's old school wrestling that doesn't work in 2015. And anybody tuning in is saying, why are you running from that guy? You're the freaking champion. Why are you even in the wrestling business? But like I said,
well, I think.
But I'm just saying, when we wrote for heels, like I said, like a Shawn Michaels, it came to the point where, okay, it was time for Shawn to put up or shut up, and the fact that he believed he could beat his opponent, that gave him credibility.
Well, right, and credibility is what it all comes down to, because his belief in himself gave him credibility. The fact he went nose to nose with Taker gave him credibility. What are they doing with Rollins? They're having him shrink away from Kane. They're having him play like he's afraid of Kane. And why are they doing that? They're doing that because they booked Kane in a main event slot, and they've got to somehow make it mean something and make it seem like Kane could win. But the problem is, what they're doing it at the expense of the guy who they should be getting behind. A guy like Seth Rollins, he shouldn't be a chicken shit heel. No. He should be arrogant. He should be getting he should be getting his heel points for being arrogant, not for being a chicken shit. And that, to me, that inconsistent. When he goes out there in the ring, we don't see that fear from him. It's a different guy, because that's not who he is, and they're not taking any of who he is and putting it in the product. What they're doing is they're saying, well, we can't have him be so confident of himself, because then what do we need Hunter for? What do we need Stephanie for? That's what they're there for.
I want to ask you that question. You just set me up beautifully. Bro, there was a point in the storyline. I was bitching every week. Every single week I'm bitching. First of all, if I'm the champion and I want to get 2 bodyguards, am I gonna hire 2 guys that are smaller than me? They went through that whole security, which like, what? That didn't even make any sense. Finally, bro, there was a point in time where Rollins said, you know what? Screw you. I don't need anybody anymore. I don't need anybody. And Hunter said, oh, okay, well, good luck. And it was the pay-per-view when he went out and he wrestled Ambrose on his own and beat him. No help. No.
That should have been a turning point.
Right. So, bro. Now the story is he beat Dean Ambrose without anybody. He surely doesn't need anybody. That Monday, bro. The next day, he was kowtowing back to Hunter. Well, bro. Is that all Hunter and Stephanie's ego? I mean, how do you write a story that way when he just proved he didn't need anybody?
Yeah, I again, lack of consistency, lack of...
You work with the guy at Full Sail, bro. You should know. Bro.
Yeah.
And let me ask you this question, Ed. Listen, 15-year rating decline. That's not me making that up. Anybody can look at the ratings, okay? I'm going to wrap it.
You know what? But Vince, just to be fair.
Different time.
No, not different. Well, it is a different time. And just so you remember, numbers can lie, and only liars use numbers.
And only liars use them. And also, bro, I also want to remind people, during our run at the Attitude Era, I want to remind people, the NFL was kind enough to cancel all Monday Night Football games when we wrote for the Attitude Era. And Major League Baseball, can you hear me?
I'm hoping you come back.
Ed, you can't hear me? Hello?
There you go.
You hear me?
Yeah, now I can.
Okay,
I didn't hear what you said. During the Attitude Era.
During the Attitude Era, I want to thank the NFL for canceling all Monday Night Football games when we were writing the Attitude Era.
We would have been in trouble if we had to go against Monday Night.
I want to thank Major League Baseball for not having playoffs and World Series during those years that we were having the Attitude Era. And
the only thing that knocked us off was the Kennel Club.
The Kennel Club knocked us off. And I want to ask you this. As a man that worked for the USA Network as a writer, you worked for them as a writer, Ed.
Yes, I did.
I want to ask you that 15 years decline, okay? Ed, what's the bottom? What's the end game? I mean, Ed, I can't believe in 15 years we've gone from a 6-3 to a 3. What is
2-3.
it? 2-3. Okay, I can't believe that. But if it keeps going in that direction, like, what happens, Ed? Like, my thought is, listen, they're putting more and more into the network at the network at the network. Here's my thought. You worked there. You worked with Bonnie. At some point, doesn't the USA Network have to say, wait a minute, we really don't give an F about your WWE network. All we're seeing is the ratings declining here to a point that they haven't been in 15. Like, what's the end game here, Ed?
I don't know, because I know reason on with the 3 hours, why they wanted to do why they thought that would be in any stretch of the imagination a good idea. But I think that what it comes down to, and I don't know the numbers, but once WWE starts doing less ratings-wise, doing lower ratings than whatever other content they could put in those hours, that's when it'll become a problem. Once it starts not making financial sense. I'm imagining that at this point, for what they're paying for the WWE programming, and you're talking about original programming 52 weeks out of the year, for what they're paying for that, it still has to make some sort of dollars and cents for USA Network, in that they're probably doing still better than they would be doing with their product, that the other content that they would put up at that same time. Once you get to the point where, okay, now this no longer makes fiscal sense for us because we're paying more money than we would for content X, and content X will pull in a 2 at on average. So then I don't know what happens, though, because I don't know what the terms of the contract are. Is it something where they can drop that 3rd hour or turn that 3rd hour into something else? But it's a mess, and I don't know what it is, but I know that it's still got to be making some sort of fiscal sense for them. But even then, it's not as good as it once was, that's for sure.
And I'm going to ask you this one last question. Listen, say all of a sudden, you got the ties to the Full Sail. Okay, and I'm going to take a left turn here for a second, because I'm just thinking of this when I took Full Sail. And part of the thing that turned me off about NXT, right, is the Full Sail crowd. And I'll tell you why. They were getting ready for a match. It was Finn the Sailor and somebody else. They were getting ready for a match. It might have been the Sami Zayn character. I don't remember. Okay? Maybe it wasn't that matchup. This is a while ago now. Okay, Ed? And all of a sudden, before the bell rings, all the fans at this Full Sail start chanting, "We're not worthy." And I'm sitting at home yelling at my computer monitor and saying, what are you not worthy of? You're about to see a fake fight. Like, if you're not worthy of seeing a fake fight, then, like, what are you worthy of in your entire life? Why are you in existence if you're not worthy of the fake fight that you're about to see? The audience, that crowd turns me off. I can't watch the show with those numbnuts wanting to be part of the show. Is that part of the appeal to you? That does not bother you?
It doesn't bother me, and I'll tell you why. And I think we've kind of talked about this before. But what doesn't bother me about it, for the most part, it doesn't bother me, and I'll clarify. It reminds me of the old ECW arena crowd, where that crowd is loving what's in front of them, and they're showing that love. You know, you could. They're trying to take over. They're trying to hijack the product. They're trying to get themselves over. Okay, maybe they are to a certain extent, but you can't tell me that Full Sail crowd isn't 100% into what that product is. And again, being an old ECW fan, that's what it reminds me of. And so I guess I kind of have a soft spot in my heart for that kind of a crowd. Now, when the crowd does things like I heard at a taping last month, like, even though I personally, I think she's terrible, even though she's improving. Eva Marie, at one point when she came out for her match, you had some people in the stands who stood up and turned their back on her because they disliked her so much. And that, to me, that's bullshit. That's disrespectful. Even though you might not like the talent, but they're out there trying to do what they're trying to do. And she's out there trying to improve. And for you to turn your back on her, that's bullshit and that's disrespectful. But for the fans to be raucous and get their chants going, because, you can't tell me that the fans aren't chanting as well. So I just think that it's different. It's definitely different from what we get on the main roster. I'd rather have that crowd and watch a show in front of that crowd than watch Raw like I have the past couple of weeks in a huge house and have it be silent during a match because they don't care. Why don't they care? Because nothing matters. It's going back to what I'm saying. So I would rather have a raucous crowd that maybe could be polished a little bit more, as opposed to a huge crowd who really don't care about the product. But then again, that's the product and that's the kind of crowd that NXT is creating, and that's the kind of crowd that the main roster is creating. The main roster is teaching people, well, don't concern yourself so much.
Yeah. Before I ask you this last question that I was just setting up, but I took a right instead of a left. I got to tell you this, bro. We've been talking now for almost 2 hours with the two shows. Bro, the more and more I look at your beautiful face, Ed, you know who you're reminding me more of as you get older and older?
You got me a little scared. Who, Burl Ives?
Bro, how did you know, bro?
Really?
Bro,
I'm looking at myself. I say, look at the mess.
Bro, I'm waiting for you to break into silver and gold like any second, bro. Bro, has anybody told you that, or you just...
I do a mean green sleeves. No, nobody really has ever told me that. But I'm just looking.
Bro,
and that was the most embarrassing thing I could have come up with.
Bro, you're Burl Ives.
Am I? All right. Hey, not bad. He made a couple of bucks in his day.
Silver and gold, bro. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. All right, here's my last question.
Green sleeves. I do a mean green sleeves.
Green sleeves, yeah. Bro, here's my last question. Yeah. All right. You run into Hunter on the campus of the NXT. You're going for a cup of coffee. Hunter's going to get Stephanie a cup of coffee. All right, that was pretty good, wasn't it? Off the cuff. I'm like that. All right, so you run into each other. Okay, he sees Ed. You start talking. Two old friends. You start talking. All right. The first thing he tells you is, hey Ed, we're cutting Raw down to 2 hours. So we already know that problem is eliminated. Raw's going to be 2 hour show. He says to you, Ed, listen, we want to bring you back on board. Price is no object. We'll give you a blank check. You write in whatever you want. You have 100% reign. You do whatever you want to do. No fight back from Vince, Hunter, nobody. Nobody, bro. It's your baby. The show's cut down to 2 hours. You walk in there now. What's the very first thing you do?
Wow.
The very first. Now, this is going to take long. You got to have a plan in place. What's the first thing Ed Ferrara does now?
Make sure I got an escape clause in my contract because I know that everything he said to me is going to end up being a lie.
Right, but you got that. Bro, you remember you covered me in my contract at WCW with the pay or play, bro. Remember the pay or play?
Yeah.
I knew nothing about that. You knew about the pay and play.
Right.
But yeah, you got all that. Now you're working. What's the very first thing, bro?
I haven't thought about this. So first thing that occurred to me is the biggest thing. I mean, it would be a matter of doing a John Cena heel turn and going a little bit edgier with the product. Not so much attitude era, but just going a little bit edgier and getting away from the little kid aspect of the product. And one way to do that, the thing they have that they're sitting on right now is a John Cena heel turn.
Wow, look how simple that is. I mean, just you saying that, I know in my mind how that would literally just blow things up.
Yeah, I mean, that's the equivalent. That right now is the equivalent of the Hulk Hogan turn when he joined the NWO. Yeah. I mean, because he had never, except for his very beginning of his career, he had been a huge baby face from the start of his second run with WWE. That first run when Blassie was managing him, he was a big heel. Then he went away and came back as a huge baby face, and he had never been a heel again. So I mean, to me, it's a no-brainer. I kind of see why they don't want to turn him for different reasons, but if you want to do something will reinvigorate the product and potentially redefine everything that they're doing storyline-wise, that's the way to do it. And that's something that will have people talking. Yeah. And it's nothing new. It's people are saying it for years and years and years, and I think people just want to see it now just because they've made it clear they're not going to do it. But that, to me, that's a no-brainer, and that's a huge impact thing you can do.
Yeah, but Ed, the sad thing is, if they did do it, you'd know they butcher it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, true. I know if you're there, it would be a masterpiece, but if they ever decided to do that, they would absolutely butcher it, bro.
Yeah, that's very true because they've been known to they could screw up a wet dream considering how they book things.
Yeah, bro. I think what the first thing I think I'd do.
What would you do?
I think I'd see if Alicia Fox would be interested in being my mistress. Even though I wouldn't do anything with her, I could just tell people she's my mistress.
Is it because she looks a little bit like Rihanna?
A little bit, but not maybe 6 out of 10. But she's the closest thing, bro.
She'd be like the made-for-TV version of Rihanna. Like if they did a movie of Rihanna's life, she could play Rihanna, but she's not Rihanna.
Yeah, and that's just another example. They take Alicia Fox and they make her an honorary Bella, and that's it. Like, okay. You know what I mean? It's like, please. All right, Ed, listen, we can go on and on and on. I love this conversation. I love your insights. I love your thoughts. I love you. I love everything about you. What else do I say, bro? I profess, as a man, I profess my love to you as another man more than my own father, bro. More than my own father.
We end every conversation with each other. We end with "I love you, kid," and true because we've been through so much. We've been through so much together. We've been through so much apart, and we just appreciate each other. And I feel the same way. You're the big brother that I never had growing up, and I love you for it, and I love everything about you. You're the brother I never had, and I just appreciate the opportunity of being able to come on to your show and I just love talking with you. So.
Now I don't have to wait another year, do I, Ed?
No,
to punch my Ed Ferrara ticket.
Just reach out, kid. We'll just make sure that we got internet service, though.
Bro, you know what we could do? Maybe what we'll do, Ed, next time, because it's not that far away. Maybe when that Star Wars movie comes out, I'll bring you on here and you could pick that thing apart.
Okay, we could do that. I would be happy to.
Bro, I got to ask you one last question. That you schooled me on what a huge Avengers mark you are. I saw the first movie. I loved it enough to buy it. I own the first one. Bro, I started watching the second one on a plane, actually, to England, and it kind of lost my interest. So where do you sit on the first one and the second one?
I think the first one is definitely an easier film to get into, especially if not into the characters and not into everything they're doing in the Marvel Universe. And I'm not saying dislike, but just not into it. The first one is a much easier in. The second one, it's darker, and there's a lot more going on. I think it's probably about a half hour too long. That's my main gripe with it. I just feel it's too long, longer than it needs to be. That said, I really enjoyed the second one too, but it's dark, and it's not as much fun as the first one. It's heavier. But, for me, and being a longtime comic book guy, I love everything that Marvel Studios is doing. They have not, in my mind, they have not missed on one of their films. Even Ant-Man, I didn't have huge high hopes for. I thought that might be their first whiff, and it really didn't. It was really rock solid and a lot of fun. So they can keep making movies to the end of time, and I'll keep going to them until they start sucking. And I don't see that happening anytime soon. But give it another try.
Yeah, I'm going to watch it at home. I'm going to watch it at home.
Yeah, and definitely you got to watch it at home. It's really hard to watch a huge movie like that on a little screen.
I'll watch it at home. Hey, Ed, I was watching Comic Book Men last night because I love that show. Was the new season, and they were talking about this new Marvel movie coming out, and I know you're all over this and you know all about it, but I didn't even know who the character was. But these comic book guys, it's the Kevin Smith,
Right.
Yeah, they say this is going to be like the hugest Marvel movie to date. They're making a movie about this character, Deadpool.
Oh, yeah. Deadpool he's a spinoff from the X-Men universe. So the thing is, this one is going to be a test because the X-Men rights and all those movies are Fox. Fox has those. It's not Marvel Studios. So Marvel Studios isn't doing Deadpool. It potentially Deadpool is going to be in the same universe with the X-Men.
Oh, okay.
They're kind of keeping on their own because there's no crossover with X-Men in the Marvel Universe. Like a little tidbit for you. In the second Avengers movie, you met twins, the characters of the twins?
Yeah.
Pietro and Wanda.
Yeah.
Well, in X-Men, or in the Marvel universe, in the comic book universe, they were for the longest time they were presented as Magneto's children, and they were members of the Avengers, but they first debuted as part of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. That was Magneto's supervillain team on the X-Men comics. So you've got a character. I don't know if you saw X-Men. Was it First Class?
I didn't see any of those X-Men movies.
Days of Future Past. Well, there's a character there. Quicksilver is Pietro. He's like the Flash in the Avengers. That character's name is Quicksilver. Quicksilver is also in the X-Men movies. He's played by a completely different actor, and it's a different character, but because he exists in both the Avengers continuity and in the X-Men continuity. So that's why that character is in both movies. Different actors playing him, different way they're portraying the character. But I think Deadpool is going to be huge because it's also Deadpool is a really hard R. Like the comic books are very violent, a lot of language. It's very funny and over the top, but it's very dark. And I think that might be what this has going for it because it seems like they're going to stay true to that character. Ryan Reynolds played the Deadpool character in that horrible X-Men Origins Wolverine movie. But they really butchered the character in that. But now it seems like they're going back to the comic books and they're basing it more on the comic books. So I think that it could be very big, but again, not part of the Marvel continuity. It's part of the X-Men continuity.
And then you gotta be a huge. And I don't watch it, bro. I watched it last night and it freaked me out. You gotta be a huge Walking Dead guy, right?
Oh yeah, and don't tell me about what happened last night because I'll be watching that tonight.
Oh,
I love Walking Dead. This season, I'm really looking forward to tonight's. I thought the season premiere was good, but it was at first I found it a little confusing because I didn't know if we were looking at something that takes place in the present and the future, or the past and the present. So by the time I got that, I was a little bit thrown off. But I'm really looking forward to tonight's episode. I think it's like the top show on TV. The ratings it did last week were astronomical. So I think it's a testament to when you've got really strong characters and a really strong product. The sky limit with, and they continue to keep knocking it out of the park.
And bro, I'm gonna one last thing. I have to bring you on, bro. One of the guys, like my co-host of all my shows. You ever see Jeff Lane? I'm sure if you watched that. Yeah, bro. He's a huge Lost mark, and he keeps begging me to do it, just a show on Lost. And I told him, you turned me on to Lost. Like, bro, in the first season, I remember you telling me you got to watch Lost. So you made me sit there for 6 episodes, and then it finished, and I'm like, what happened the last 6 years? I didn't have a clue what happened at the end of Lost.
It was the great show that ever sucked. Because I loved it up until that last season. That last season it was just like what we're talking about. It built up, and they had such promise, and it was heading somewhere, and then just fell apart at the end. And it made me wonder why I'd spent 6 years watching. Wow,
so Ed, I didn't miss anything then. I was okay then.
The last season was terrible. Okay, I won't say the last season was terrible. The last season was misguided, and the finale was so disappointing. So disappointing.
Oh, I got to have you on there because I would love to talk about that just to see what you would have done.
Okay.
All
right, let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, listen, Ed, man to man, I love you. I love everything about you. Thanks for coming on the show. I'm going to punch my Ed Ferrara card more often because we can't just do this once a year.
Do it, kid. I love coming on with you. I love chatting with you, whether we're on or off. Anytime. You just reach out to me and we'll schedule it and I'll do it.
And one last thing. Can we just all agree that Disco Inferno killed WCW?
Hands down.
Okay.
That nose killed WCW.
Okay, we can go off on that note. Ed Ferrara, thanks for joining me, my brother. I love you more than anything.
Love you right back, kid. Thank you so much, my brother.
Okay.
The people want to hear from me, Rob Van Dam.
Timeline, the history of ECW, the series that retells hardcore history, presents Rob Van Dam, covering 1999.
I looked at WWE as a sellout. Like, I didn't want to go there.
This no-holds-barred interview with superstar RVD reveals all about ECW in 99.
Okay, drank it with a beer. What was that? He said, morphine.
This and more spellbinding editions of the series available at shootinterviews.com.
Hey everybody, this is Bill DeMott, and I got to tell you, I'm so excited about everything that's gone on with the brand and with Vince Russo and being on the brand and being part of that crew. I want to thank Vince, and we're so happy to announce that now the BDE is its own channel on the Realm Network. And you can get all the past podcasts, and you can go on my YouTube account and you can see the Bill DeMott experience and all of the past things that we've done. And we're looking forward to the future on the Realm Network. Again, Vince Russo on the brand has started something that he can't control himself. And the BDE is now its own channel. And you're going to get shows like Turning Point, where I'm going to be talking about wrestling, the thing that everybody's been waiting for the past 6 months on the Realm Network with Bill DeMott. I'm going to talk wrestling. You're going to get Face Value with my daughter, Casey. And we're going to talk about life. And you take it at face value. We're going to be serious. There's going to be the Turning Point. There's football with Miss Paula. And there's Paula's Twitter account. And you have to hook her up. You have to tweet her because we're going to talk about stuff. We're going to finish out the year strong with football with Miss Paula. And it all happens on the Realm Network. And right now, you can get your subscription, $3.95 a month. But if you put in the promo code BDE16 right now, $2.95 a month, for the BDE on the Realm Network. Promo code BDE16 is the coupon. Put it in there. $2.95 a month. You get Turning Point. You get Face Value. You get the interviews with unbelievable people. David Brady's coming up, and you can subscribe to this channel, and then you can go and watch the Bill DeMott Experience on YouTube, and you can subscribe to the Bill DeMott Experience on YouTube. All for you. Bill DeMott, all month long. We have football. We have Turning Point. We have Face Value. We have interviews. I'm going to catch up with Vince every now and again. Vince and I may break off and start another show. But it all started with the brand and Vince Russo. And it's grown to the BDE on the Realm Network. And we're excited. We cannot tell you how excited we are. And if you look on the bottom of the screen, click on that site. It takes you right to the subscription page. We're going to have fun. We're going to be serious. We're going to laugh. More importantly, we go back to having fun. But the Realm Network's about to blow up in 2016. And right next to the brand now, you have the BDE. It all started somewhere. It started with Vince. Now it comes to Bill. We're going to have fun. Turning Point's going to be great. We're going to talk wrestling. We're going to have wrestlers, men, women, old guys, young guys, sometimes just me giving you an opinion. Face Value is the most entertaining thing I've ever seen. You don't want to miss one episode. We went on location. It's coming up. It's must-see TV. And for everybody on iTunes, I'm going to give you something to listen to in the traffic. I'm going to give you something on the ride. I'm going to give you something. And it happens here on the Realm Network. So don't miss out. I cannot express enough. It's $3.95 a month for the BDE. But if you put in the promo code right now, BDE 16. That's BDE 16, $2.95 a month. We're going to be throwing specials at you. We're going to be throwing shows at you, and we're going to entertain you. More importantly, subscribe to the Bill DeMott Experience. We're going to show you exactly what entertainment is, and we're going to make you laugh. We're going to piss some people off along the way, and hopefully we're just going to have some fun. So to Vince Russo and everybody on the brand, thank you. Everybody on BDE, thank you. To the Realm Network, thank you. 2016, big things for the Realm Network and the Bill DeMott Experience. Subscribe now.